Hey, going on, Nation? It was TJ Jones, host of the State of the Saints podcast. And come here on the State of the Saints podcast, we discuss Saints training camp day 7 and Jake Haener getting to run with the number ones. Trevor Penning seems like he can acclimate it to his new position. And also, if you remember going into this pink Pepto Bismol looking building to get yourself a hot sausage on French back in the day, then you know where I'm at.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who that?
Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Much love to each and every one of you. And I want to give a special shout out to everybody that has subscribed to this channel. And also shout out to those that subscribe to the State of the NFL. There's a new episode up right now. We're discussing Shaheed Sanders and owner Jimmy Haslam, saying that it wasn't his idea to bring Shaheed Sanders to Cleveland. And I also discussed Shannon Sharp being let go by ESPN. So that's up right now on the YouTube channel. And when you get opportunity, go ahead and check it out. That subscribe button. But on this edition, we're going to be talking about Saints training camp day 7 and some of the storylines coming out of number 7. Well, day number 7. There we go. Day number 7 of training camp. But shouts out to everybody in the chat right now as you file in. Shouts out to everybody that's watching this live or be watching this when it's all said and done. Haven't done this in a minute, so just thought that it'd be right for us to give a special shout out to all them after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweet and be post, they be tweet and be post, they be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweet and be post, they be tweet and be post, they be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shout out to all the after show boys, after show girls out there. Really do appreciate your time. But let's go ahead and get into it. Saints training camp day 7. We saw Jake Haener get into role number 1. So Kellen Moore, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, staying true to what he has been preaching since the beginning of training camp. And also Mickey Loomis also echoed his sentiments, saying that all 3 quarterbacks will get an opportunity to run with the number ones. And, you know, regardless of how you may feel about Jake Haener, you might feel like that's just a waste of reps and all that. But I like Jake Haener a lot, and he deserves to go out there and try to compete just like those guys. You know, that regime from last year didn't do anybody any favors. And I like the fact that Kellen Moore is allowing these players a clean slate and allowing them to figure things out, and also implementing his system to see if it actually works for these players. You know, I can see Jake Haener being around. I don't expect for him to be the starting quarterback of the team, but I do think that the Saints are going to keep him on roster because of his knowledge and his ability to be able to understand different offensive concepts. It will be helpful to some of these quarterbacks that are more likely going to start for the Saints, rather it's Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck. But look, he had a really good throw for what I seen. It was a pass Chris Olave, a deep pass down the field. Chris Olave and Rashid continue to impress. I'm extremely impressed with Rashid Shaheed's ability to go after those contested catches. I remember on the last episode, there was a point that I made in regards to comparing Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. And I said one thing that Chris Olave does better than Rashid Shaheed is, those contested catches coming down with the football. And that even Chris Olave had to improve on. So Rashid Shaheed getting a little bit better in that department, making plays and showing flashes is us. It just seems to me like we need to maybe pump our brakes on the level of concern from these wide receivers. Both of these wide receivers are extremely talented. And if you add Brandon Cooks into the equation, I think you have a very formidable bunch. It doesn't hurt to, have a big body receiver, a guy that can, you can probably line up in a slot or maybe in some of those short yardage situations, you need a first down, a big target you can throw to. Is always a plus. But it just seems to me like the New Orleans Saints aren't as concerned because you have three very talented wide receivers that you can get the ball to and you can make people miss. That can make people miss and get yards after the catch. All the quarterbacks, had some solid performances. Spencer Rattler, I believe he went 9 for 9 towards the end of team drills. Nick Underhill. Also, Tyler Shuck had a pretty decent pass down the field a couple of times. I mean, there was a pass to Cedric Wilson that should have been caught. Leaky Mataval, he should have caught that pass as well. So the young rookie is starting to find his stride. There was a deep pass that he threw to Rashid Shaheed. It was a little bit too far out of bounds. But, that just shows me that this guy is willing to go out there and will and deal. Also, Quincy Riley yet again comes down with an interception, showing that he is indeed that ball hawk that the Saints expected him to be coming out of Louisville. If you watch Quincy Riley at Louisville, that was his bread and butter, his ability to be able to get those turnovers, get the ball back to Tyler Shuck and that Louisville offense. So he was able to get another interception off Spencer Rattler. Some, people were, making a big deal out of that. But, Spencer Rattler tried to throw the ball down the field, didn't put enough air on it, and Quincy Riley just came underneath and picked the ball off. But credit to Spencer Rattler, went right back to the wheelhouse again and threw a deep pass down the field to Mason Tipton to get the ball into the end zone. So, he's living by what Kellen Moore has been preaching, giving these guys an opportunity to go out there and take risk, right? Take risks, throw the ball down the field. If it gets picked off, then let's go back into the film room when practice is all said and done, and let's try to figure out why that interception took place. Practice makes perfect, and sometimes, practice isn't always going to be perfect. That's why we aspire to try to be the best that we can possibly be. We try to reach perfection, but, you never seem to reach it. You always try to attain it, but it never seems to go that way. But you continue to work hard and press, and all of these guys are doing just that. I'll stop right there, and we'll get into in a few minutes Trevor Penning being acclimated to the guard position and how he's starting to fire his teammates up at his new position. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments. Shouts out to everybody that attended training camp today. There was a lot of discourse on social media that I checked out. And a lot of fans and people that support this show were out there, and credit to you all, sending me information and, helping me to be able to put this show together. So I appreciate that. Jerry said, bad news, I didn't go to training camp today. Well, that's all right, Jerry. There'll be opportunities in the future for you to go. Hit that like button and subscribe to the SOTS on your way in. Yeah, Keno, I appreciate that. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. I would really appreciate that. And TJ just dropped the state of NFL. You heard me? Yeah, I just dropped that. That was the reason why I was a little bit later and had to stretch out the show, man, because I had to do those final edits and to try to get that show. I try to be consistent with that show, making it come out around 10:30, 11 o'clock p.m. As I try to build up that brand. So Once this show is all said and done, go over to the channel and check the most recent episode of the State of the NFL. Let's see. I'm just hi to my OG Jerry Cartel tonight. I won't speak much. I'm in my feelings right now. Some know I'm going through a breakup, and I don't want to put no one mood down, so I'll just be reading. Well, Lee, look, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Breakup sometime, man. That's just a part of life at times. We set out to believe that a person, is supposed to be with us forever, but sometimes, just like as we travel on a highway, there are stops that we make, and sometimes the person that we riding with ain't gonna take us all the way, and it's best for us to learn from the situations and become better. It feels like it's the worst thing in the world, but as you begin to grow and develop, and you realize that all of the tribulations that you went through in your life, it's made you a better person for the next person that I place in your life. I think, I'm be on my soapbox, think about, my wife. Next week I'll be married 5 years, and I just would my mind frame be good enough to accept the love and be able to give the love to my wife if I do the things I went through? And it probably so, just take the good, the bad, and also learn about and support that. If you're going to pay something hard in court, it hurt you. Nobody that can walk away from it like it's not that big of a deal. I question the love that they actually have. So it's okay. Everyone be all right, man. Just keep your eyes on the prize and stay focused. Learn about yourself, process, and get to while you're going. Not the news you want to hear, but better to be safe than sorry. I assume that you referred to I'm sorry, Jerry. I don't know if you all were the injury. There were some injuries that took place at camp. Wisconsin, it wasn't camp. Apparently, I guess something to do with. He was a guy, and also Ridgeway, John Ridgeway the third. He also was hurt. He's a rotational interior line, so definitely don't want to hear these injuries, but it doesn't seem like it's any too serious from these guys. That's it going through, like I mentioned on the last episode. Right now, they're doing everything they can to avoid injuries, but it's a matter of time that you see guys on the report. They have their due diligence, make sure they are these guys the time to be able to recover. Gene in the background. This comes from food last night. Desi, to a certain extent, yeah, but over the last few episodes, we've been putting like fools in. People have been giving like ideas, like they would like as the round. That it would be rivalry to Gene. Gene was a staple in New Orleans, especially when I was growing as a kid. They had one of the best boys that you can have. So I have to give a special shout out to Gene. I mean, it's one of me runs that was a school when I was in there. My little me last month. I'm doing good. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. Learn from mistakes and try to be better next person. TJ sound like choppy. Oh, I apologize. I think he a new Seaport is kind of like let's say it's just Georgia, right? So Mic check 1, 2. All right. I think y'all can. I think you can hear me now. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me, and I'll start talking again. All right. So, yeah, but anyway, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Like I said, I got this audio box, and I think I just need like a new C port for it. So I'll probably just go to to Best Buy or something like that and pick it up. So I apologize for that. Even like the last episode of State of NFL, I was actually speaking through my laptop and didn't even realize it. So yeah, so that's something that that I need to work on. I'm actually trying to like talk and like go through these comments at the same time, man. Charmaine says, you saying that I seem down? No, I'm not down. I was asleep, you know what I'm saying? Like a while back, you know what I'm saying? I got home and shoot, I was like sitting down, I was watching Netflix. I was sitting down watching Netflix. I was watching this documentary that WWE put out, and me and Packy, we fell asleep on the couch, man. Shoot, I woke up, it was about 9:00 Eastern time. So I was like, oh snap, man, I gotta get up and record. So that's probably the reason why I'm like kind of chill and mellow. Like, nah, I'm good. But I'm not gonna lie, I needed that sleep. I needed that sleep, man. Like seriously. But no, I'm fine. I'm fine on that. Let me stroll up a little bit. Thank y'all for like y'all the best producers in the business. Y'all keep your boy on point. All right. Hey, TJ Jake knows he will be cut. He's not going to win a quarterback. I don't know if he's gonna get cut though. I don't know if he's gonna get cut or not. I think he'll end up being on a practice squad or probably gonna be, in a part of the rotation, but I don't think they're gonna cut him. I think that he might end up on a practice squad. TJ, I might be overreacting, but I think we wasted a second round pick. Shuck, with the third team again. What is going on? Well, they just been trying to like move guys around, and Billy, there's nothing wrong with that because I've been mentioning guys have been getting injured at the quarterback position, man. So the better like rapport that you can have with guys on different levels, and we also seen the New Orleans Saints have to utilize a lot of these practice squad guys last season due to injury, and a lot of the situations and problems that the Saints had was the lack of chemistry. So the fact that these guys can rotate with the first team, the second team, the third team, you don't know. Like we talk about, and I'm knocking on wood when I say this, but we're talking about Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, right? And we talk about how talented they are, but they always seem, to be hurt and they miss time. So who's to say like Bud Means won't get some meaningful play time? Well, if you're spending most of your time like in your Tyler Shuck and you're throwing the ball to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, what type of chemistry do you have with Bud Memes? You get it? You get what I'm saying? So, rotating these guys and, they end up possibly being a starter. If a starter goes down, they still had a rapport with that second and third team player because Kellen Moore has been alternating their roles. So I don't have an issue with that. I think that's smart that what they're doing because it helps in the long run. Like, you're not as concerned if you see a Bud Memes having a play to replace a Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed if they go down, because he has worked alongside Tyler Shuck. He has worked alongside Spencer Rattler. He has worked alongside Jake Haener. So all of those guys got some type of rapport. Quincy Riley looking like a cornerback number 2. What's your take? I like what I see so far, especially when he came into the league dealing with some injuries. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, and everything about him is as advertised. I mean, he was a ball hawking cornerback when he was at Louisville, and he is a guy that is very, very confident in himself. So I like what I'm seeing. I'm not going to say that he's cornerback number 2. I mean, there's more to it than just catching some interceptions, and those plays serve a purpose and they help, but you also got to do the little things too. So, I mean, you got some talented guys out there that's making plays alongside Quincy Riley, but he's definitely probably working his way up that depth chart. I feel like it was now or never for Tyler with his age. He has to win the job. Spencer is only going to get better. Well, look, no, I don't believe that, because you looking at his age and you just feel like, oh, what comes age, like it just comes experience. And yes, there are many college football games that he took a part in due to his age, but he's still a rookie. He's still inexperienced. He still has to understand the speed of the game. I'm not surprised that Spencer Rattler has taken a step and is leading the charge. He should. If you combine the fact that he was a part of the rookie offseason activities, the fact that he started in 6 games last season, and now, he has a completely different outlook. You're going into a competition and you have experience as being a starter. It's not a surprise. Like, I don't know what people expected. And I'm not saying that you're saying this, Gallows, but all I'm saying is, like, I don't know what people expected from Spencer Rattler. I think they thought, like, Tyler Shough was just going to come in and just make him just completely obsolete. But Spencer Rattler has always been talented, man. Like, we have seen, like, Spencer Rattler perform in games. Our biggest gripe with Spencer Rattler wasn't like the talent level. Like, if you look at him, like, in a complete totality of a game, in the first half, he looked like he has advertised. The biggest issue was, can you bring the first half to the second half? And he didn't do that. So imagine if he can actually play at a high level all 4 quarters in both halves. You got yourself a solid quarterback. And I just think that people just wanted to write off Spencer Rattler because they wanted to appoint Tyler Shough. I say this once and I'm going to say it again. Be very, very careful of the narratives that you create that you want these players to live by. Nobody said that Tyler Shough was going to be Josh Allen. If you thought that he was going to be Josh Allen, then that is your opinion. That's your thoughts running wild. If you feel like, oh, well, they drafted him in the second round, so he should be the starting quarterback. That ain't necessarily true either, because history shows us that second round quarterbacks don't really pan out as often in the NFL. You got sprinkles of success coming from second round picks, but it's not something that actually occurs constantly. And then also another thing that I want people to pay attention to: stop falling for these outliers and feeling like rookies have to look like these guys. We look at CJ Stroud. We look at Jaden Daniels. We look at Bo Nix. We look at some of these other quarterbacks that have come into the league, taken the league by storm. And now it's like, well, that's what the rookie quarterback is supposed to look like. No, it doesn't supposed to look like that. Everybody is different. So he's going to make mistakes. He is going to have to adjust to the speed of the game. Spencer Rattler is ahead of the curve because he has already experienced that. He has experienced it in real time. He's experienced it in practice. So, of course, he's going to be leading the charge. That's not an indictment on Tyler Shough. As a matter of fact, that just shows you how much Spencer Rattler has improved and how much he's showing that he wants to be the starting quarterback of this football team. So this is a good situation for the Saints to be in. I'm not knocking Tyler Shough for not being as good as Spencer Rattler, because at this point he shouldn't be. Tim, thank you very much for the $5. Said Timothy J. Jones, man, I miss your voice. I just wanted to say your boy is still rocking with you. Also, I got engaged. New season, can't wait. Man, that's awesome, man. Shouts out to you, Tim. And thank you very much for the $5, man. Yeah, man, it's a great time. Great time, man, to be in a relationship and take it to that particular level, man. So I wish y'all all the best, man. And I appreciate you continuing to support the show, man. I appreciate you. I was wondering, like, man, where my boy at? I ain't see him come across the comments in a while, but it's good to know that you're still around, and I appreciate the support. All the quarterbacks are rotating from first, second, and third team. This is not an indication of poor performance of talent. It's a routine training camp practice to get players acclimated. Yeah, I mean, it works for everybody. It helps everybody. The better your rapport is with your teammates, the more stronger you can actually be. and injuries are going to occur, right? Injuries are going to occur, but having that rapport with guys that are third strings, fourth strings that can come in, you won't miss a beat. So sitting around, like, I understand how important those reps are to a guy. You want to establish a quarterback and starter and all that kind of stuff, but you also want to make sure that these guys are on the same page. I may be wrong, but I want Rattler to win. Well, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, but it seems like he is leading the charge. It seems like he is the guy that is really out there, making the plays. And not to say that, Shuck or Haener aren't making plays, but it seemed like, Spencer Rattler is the guy that after every camp, all the reports are saying how much he improved. So, and you got to believe that he's the front runner right now, and he's pulling away from the pack. But let's go ahead and stop right there and talk a little bit about Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning, of course, came into the league in 2022. He was supposed to be the succession plan to a legendary left tackle of the New Orleans Saints, Teron Armstead, who ended up signing with the Miami Dolphins. And salute to Teron. He retired this past season, and he's out there trying to do the media thing and also just doing stuff in the community that's just absolutely great. So credit to him. But Trevor Penning was supposed to be that left tackle. It was a struggle, right? I mean, he was out there getting, pushed around a little bit, but we all know that Trevor Penning has that mean streak. He has that ability to be able to maul guys, to be violent on the offensive line. And, they decided to try to switch him to right tackle. He was okay there, but Kellen Moore comes in and switches him to guard. And, now it just seems like he has found a place where he can actually grow. And, I've been talking about Trevor Penning throughout, the last few months on a few shows. And I said this, this is an opportunity for Trevor Penning to solidify himself as a player in the National Football League. You want to stay in the NFL as long as possible. And this could be newfound life for Trevor Penning. I don't know if the New Orleans Saints are going to extend him, but if he plays well enough at the guard position, then he can possibly be signed by another team. But if he goes out there and he's up to the challenge and it seems like the guard position is where he needs to be, the Saints might end up extending him. It just seems to me like the Saints are trying to find a place for him. Now, back in the day, there was a couple people that said that your boy was crazy for me looking at Trevor Penning and saying during his rookie season that, this guy's a guard. I said, this guy's a guard. They need to put him at guard. People were talking about his height. People were talking about his arm length. People were comparing him to some of these other guys. All I said was the dude was a guard. And sure enough, Kellen Moore comes to the New Orleans Saints, and where's Trevor Penning? At guard. And it seems like he's striving at that position. We heard, Colin Sanders speak very highly of him. They're talking about, they feel like, that was the best decision that they could have possibly made. He's getting his teammates fired up in a film room when he's coming, and mauling guys. And that's what you need. You need those big, nasty guys on the offensive line. You don't need handshakers and baby kissers on your offensive line. You need guys that are violent, on the attack and pushing these defensive ends back in order for the running game to be sustainable as well as the passing game. So Trevor Penning is excited, taking on that new role. It seems like, he's pretty dialed in, and credit to Kellen Moore and his staff for trying to put together a plan to try to salvage Trevor Penning. And also credit to Trevor Penning for taking it upon himself to be, to be a good, solid teammate, because other guys be like, man, I want to play this position. But it seems to me he wants, to do what's best for the team and also do what's best for himself. So I wish him all the best, and I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And yes, there are going to be times where he get, whooped, but that's just a credit to this defensive line. You want to see both sides winning. You don't want to see it just one-sided. You want to just see the defensive line just completely just slapping around your offensive line. Like, you want to see the offensive line getting the best of the defensive line and vice versa. You want it to kind of switch. That way you feel like, you're trending in the right direction. So credit to Trevor Penning for being a good sport and being a good teammate and trying to do what's best to try to restore, some credibility here. TJ reports are saying Trevor is playing well at guard. Reports also saying that the coaches are having to get him to dial it back when mauling guys. I'm here for it, no cold motors. Look, I'd rather have to dial a guy back than to try to rev him up, right? I mean, that's a plus. And we know that Trevor Penning, like his mean streak and his attitude has never been an issue. It's been technique, footwork, and all kind of other stuff that he needed to work on. So it's not, I'm happy that he's finding his way. Now, to be honest, TJ, you mentioned him, right guard shortly after the draft. Yeah, right guard, left guard. Like I just say he looks like a guard, like when you look at, like, I'll tell you what it was. It was the first game of preseason when he rated, I think his rating was like a 90 or something. Like, he was so good at run blocking that it just completely like trumped out the fact that he was abysmal at pass protection. And it's like, man, like this dude right here, man, he's a mauler. And that's why I felt like, that would have been a really good place for him. So I'm glad that, it seemed like he found his success. I don't know if it's going to be all pro Quentin Nelson type success, but hopefully he can sustain, some levels of success where he can be around the National Football League and continue to make money and get that generational wealth and take care of his family. I was getting ready to go to Metairie for camp, but after I talked to my dad, I changed. So I stayed at home all day, which was better. Well, look, ain't nothing wrong with staying at home. Ain't nothing wrong with staying at home, man. I mean, that's what, shows like this are for. That's what shows like Locked On Saints and New Orleans Football are for, man, to get you up to date on certain things, and also shouts out to the members of the Who Dat Nation who put out videos and also give their perspective. That's extremely helpful. I'm going to take a few more of them. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, man. Maybe I'll get a chance to see it Saturday morning. Yeah, man. I mean, there's opportunities for you to be able to go out there, man. So don't be so hard on yourself. Kelvin Banks Jr. seems like he's the real deal. Man, I've been saying this for a while. Like, as long as this guy stays healthy, the Saints made the right decision at left tackle. Like, he probably go through like some things that young guys go through, but to me, this is going to be a guy that can be a cornerstone player for years to come. I don't think you're going to have an issue with Tallahassee, and I don't think you have an issue with Calvin Banks. I think you're going to have some stability once again on the offensive line when it's all said and done with that. Let's see, TJ, ready for SummerSlam? Yeah, man. Look, I'm ready for it. I'm excited about it. Seemed like a pretty solid card. Looking forward to that, like I do every single year. TJ, did you see the way Kool-Aid stuck with Shaheed and broke up their pass? Yeah, I saw that, man. And credit to Kool-Aid McKinstry, because the Saints are going to need him to really step up. Like, they put a lot on his shoulders, right? They put a lot on his shoulders, and they pretty much appointed him as the number one guy. And him coming out of Alabama, I mean, he has a lot of, shutdown corner traits. There was some up and down last season that just comes with the territory of being a rookie sometimes. But it seems like he's up to the challenge, man. And people are saying that this was his best day of camp of his NFL career. It's a short career, but that shows you that he's trending in the right direction. Maybe it's the fact that he feels a little bit more healthy. Like last year, he wasn't as healthy. Also, he feels a little bit more confident in himself. Or maybe it's just the fact that he took off that ridiculous, horrible number 14. Maybe that's it too. But whatever it is, you're going to need Kool-Aid to step up, make plays, and, it seems like he's doing that. You seen the players interview. Juwan said the vibe wasn't high since they were 5-2. Yeah, I mean, because everybody was on edge. Everybody was on edge. The team didn't look the same. They weren't winning games. They lost more games than they won. Like, nobody wants to lose. Like, everybody wants to have success. And if there's not much to cheer for, not much to be happy about, like, guys don't want to, guys are not going to be happy. So that's not a surprise to me. It's good that Kool-Aid has been doing good in training camp. Yeah, the Saints are going to need him. And it says, TJ, are you NBA fan? Let me see. are you a fan of the cornerback playing trail technique? I'm not. Locate the ball. I don't have an issue with it, man. As long as they can stay, with the wide receivers, I ain't got no problem with that at all. As long as when that ball in the air, go ahead and attack it. Now we know that the Saints have had issues like when it comes to like trying to, get those turnovers. I mean, you had Tyrann Mathieu and Paulson Adebo the last couple of years. They've been your ball hawks in the secondary. But I don't have a problem with that, man. I don't have a problem with it at all. As long as when they, if they trail and shoot, like make sure that you get to your spot. Rather than, breaking up the pass or, like you coming down with the interception. I ain't got no problem with that. Whatever floats your boat, whatever makes your boat float, I can care less. Like, just make sure that you ain't getting smoked like brisket, burnt like a biscuit. Been pretty good not having to say that as consistently over the last couple of years as I did when I first started this show. TJ, what are you doing with Gene's po' boy shop up there? Look, man, we project different staples around the city of New Orleans, past and present here. And we've been doing that for a while, man. So we just wanted to give a salute to the legendary Gene's po' boy that sits off St. Claude and Allegiant Fields. So shouts out to him, man. Let's see. TJ, what's your prediction for the Saints this season? I don't really have a prediction, man. I don't really have a prediction of what they're going to be. I just want to see some better football than I've seen over the last couple of years. If they improve in any way, right? I mean, if I'm seeing, improvements in certain areas, I understand that Rome wasn't built in a day. I'm okay with that. I just don't want to see these boys fumbling all over themselves and looking like comedy hour for 4 hours or 3 hours or how long they playing. I'm good on that. If I wanted to watch a comedy show, I turn on some Dave Chappelle or something. I don't need to be turned on the New Orleans Saints, and it's ranked as the number one comedy in America. Like, nah, we good on that. TJ, who gonna play a slot corner if Taylor moves outside? That's a good question. Maybe Yadam. But I really feel like if Quincy Riley continues the trajectory and Isaac Yadam, it plays pretty steady, then I think that Alontae Taylor might end up being on the inside. I'm hoping that he ends up being on the inside because I've seen some things from him that, I feel like I think Saints fans should be optimistic about. TJ be dropping proverbs. TJ, I think you're talking about Eli Apple when talking about smoke like brisket, burnt like a biscuit. Now, there's a few guys. I mean, we've been here for a minute there, Brandon. We talking about days of the Brandon Browners, the Dalvin Bros from time to time. Like we've been, the Corey Whites of the world, right? I'm the original smoke briskets, like Jason David and Fred Thomas. Like, that's original smoke right there. That's original smoke right there. That's the original recipe. DJ is going to start selling like burnt toast or smelling like burnt toast if we don't do that too much, though. Look, I hope not. I hope not, man. It feels kind of good, like over the last couple of years that, when a cameraman starts to pan that camera, when a opponent throws a deep pass down the field on the Saints and, you're like, oh, man, pass breakup. Back in the day, like when Browner and some of these other guys were here, it's like when they used to pan that camera, you're like, oh, my God, please let somebody be down there. And I'm talking about 5-10 yards of separation. So I don't want to go back to those days anymore. Let's see. The last 10 years have been rough at corner. I would have to say, man, it's been improving. Like since like 2018, man, they've really been improving in secondary. Like since Marshawn Lattimore got there, like Ken Crawley, like his first season with the Saints, he was pretty solid. Marcus Williams, I mean, when you brought back Malcolm Jenkins, like they had like some stability over the last couple of years. They had a pretty solid secondary. I give them that. Like it wasn't like they were just out there just getting roasted and toasted, and like they pretty much put it together. It actually don't matter who wins the quarterback battle, but yeah, Jake probably gonna win. I don't think Jake Haener gonna win. I don't know about that. Don't forget about PJ Williams. Yeah, PJ on the outside. Yeah, that was dead man walking right there. That was a crime scene. Like the best thing the Saints did for him was, make him like a box safety or something like that. That was the best. That was the best thing that they did for his career. Like he was able to salvage himself, and I think that he ended up like gaining some good graces, and some positive vibes from the New Orleans Saints fans, especially when he picked off Tom Brady in that game to seal the deal for the Saints to beat the Bucks back in the day. Like I think that pretty much that's the way that you want to be remembered, man. PJ Williams kind of changed the narrative of how a lot of Saints fans thought about him towards the end of his Saints career. Jason David got smoked so bad that he was at least 20 yards from the wide receiver. Yeah, man. I remember one time they played against the Texans. They were Andre Johnson. I mean, Andre Johnson is a Hall of Famer, but I remember one time, man, I mean, he had so much separation. You thought Jason David was the referee. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like, dude, looked like he was just like he just trying to make sure that Andre Johnson didn't run out of bounds. Oh, look, but my final thought about Saints training camp day 7 is the quarterbacks continue to get better and better. The running backs, Alvin Kamara has some really good runs. The wide receivers, Brandon Cooks, Chris Olave, Rashid, Shaheed continue to show that they are really disciplined route runners, and there's some burners out there. And also like the secondary, man, they're young, they're inexperienced, but they're making plays. And that's the only thing that you can truly act for. And I'm proud of Trevor Penning for stepping up and making plays at the guard position and getting his teammates fired up, because that goes a long way, man. And if he can actually translate what he's doing from the practice field to those meaningful games, then I think he'll be just fine in 2025. But thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you. Shouts out to everybody that has been in the comments. Shouts out to everybody that has been watching at home, at work, wherever you are, wherever you may be. Make sure that you follow me on X at TJAYJones8. Once again, check out the most recent episode of the State of the NFL podcast. I put the link inside of the comments. On the most recent episode, we're talking about Shaheed Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. Owner Jimmy Haslett comes out and says that it was GM Andrew Berry's idea for him to be drafted by the Browns, and he didn't expect them to draft him. And, so that was very alarming, especially when you look at the revolving door at the starting quarterback position for the Browns, and also Shannon Sharp being let go by ESPN. So make sure you check it out. Tell me what you think. Hit that subscribe button. I would really do appreciate it. All right. Till next time, all I got to say is, who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who that?